Well, it's election day in Texas tomorrow with a number of major amendments to the Texas Constitution on the ballot. And KXAN's Kelsey Thompson caught up with an expert to see what's different about this election.
So tomorrow is election day here in Texas, and there are 14 constitutional amendments that voters will weigh in on. We do know as of end of early voting Friday, though, less than 7% of voters registered statewide cast an early ballot. So talk to me, is that pretty on par for some of these non-presidential or gubernatorial election years, or how does that stand compared to previous years?
Very much in the same pattern. Sometimes we will get double digits, but that's rare. And when we look at the 14 amendments, there's no real hot button social issues out there to really drive people to the polls, nor are there any big tax increases that might get people out to the polls to say, hey, I'm going to vote against this. And there's actual tax cuts that people are in favor of and understand that they'll likely pass. So it's not going to matter as much if they come out to vote. There isn't the overwhelming opposition to them. So when we look at the election, it's what we call a low salience election. There's no real partisan issues out there. There's no real individuals driving turnout. There isn't a lot of media coverage that will get people excited to the polls. And there's not a lot of other races out there other than maybe some local races or local bond things that are really going to drive turnout. So when we look at it, 7%, a little bit lower than usual, but it's not going to hit double digits because there isn't a lot there to get people out.
You had talked about the partisan issues that aren't really prevalent on this ballot right now. We do know some of those constitutional amendments have to do with property taxes, teacher retirement funds, some key issues that we've seen the legislature focus on. What is some of the challenge, though, because we know these constitutional amendments come following the ledge sessions?
Right.
What is the challenge of increasing voter appetite to get to the polls when you don't have any of these crazy partisan races and you don't have some of the bigger partisan issues that might drive people in other situations?
What you have to do, and it's a hard sell, is appeal to people's sense of civic duty. The idea that these amendments actually do affect you and impact you, and especially when we look at people's bottom line, this affects how much you're going to pay in homestead exemption. This is getting money for teachers, retired teachers. So you have to try to appeal to people's, not their partisanship, but their actual idea that voting is a very important thing, and these are issues that matter. And that's a hard sell, especially in the hyper-partisan era, because there aren't the clear winners and losers, nor are there those what we call red meat issues out there that are going to really drive people to the polls. When we see the elections that have had the highest turnout over the past years, it's because they've been talking about things. This is going back 20 years, but the gay marriage ban in Texas was one that got people out to the polls. When we think about the kinds of issues that divide Texans, actually increase turnout, whereas the issues that tend to unite Texans, like getting teacher salary increase for retired teachers, getting property tax cuts, these tend not to be the exciting issues because there isn't the real opposition. Also, what gets people out to the polls, outsider spending, when interest groups get really involved and start trying to raise issues. And we're not seeing this. We're not seeing a lot of outsider spending or third-party groups trying to sway or move the needle. And because of that, very low turnout.